Hi, everybody. Welcome to Grab Your Keys. I have a great person, a personal friend of mine on today, Owen Lee. He is the CEO and co-owner of Success Mortgage Partners. And I'm super excited to have him today. So, Owen, welcome to Grab Your Keys.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be on and talk with everybody.
Yeah, so why don't we start at the beginning? How did Owen Lee get into the mortgage business?
Oh, that's a long ago story, but I'm happy to share it. So, originally when I got out of college, and I'm a little bit rare, as you know, I went to Villanova. I know you have a lot of Philadelphia area listeners, but I'm from Detroit.
Are they even in
And
the Sweet 16 this time?
what's that?
Are they even in the Sweet 16 this time?
So on the next topic, no, they're not, sadly, but we love them still.
Yes, we do. We do love them
Yes.
still.
And but anyway, I went to law school. I went to law college in Detroit called Detroit College of Law, and did pretty well. And I got out and I got a job at a gigantic law firm that did mostly insurance defense. And, our clients were, the 5, 6 largest insurers in the country, like the Hartford and Chubb and whatnot. And, I didn't love it. And it was my dream job when I was in law school, but I didn't love it. And the reason why I didn't love it is I had a front row seat into what happens in places like that. And everybody that had climbed to the top of the mountain in that firm had 3 things in common. They were extremely, extremely talented lawyers. They made a boatload of money. And they also had personal lives that would make you cry. I mean, multiple wives, multiple spouses, kids don't talk to them, chasing members of the opposite sex at 60, 65, kind of you're only as young as the person you feel, not a great credo for a happy life. And that just wasn't for me. So my wife, who's also a lawyer, at the time was working for a large mortgage foreclosure firm called Trot and Trot. And she had just opened a title insurance agency for them. So when she was 8 months pregnant with our first child, we both quit our jobs, opened a title insurance agency with my dad, who is a longtime Century 21 broker. He was the 3rd person in the state of Michigan to buy a Century 21 franchise. And so we started a title insurance agency. 2-3 years in, I don't know the people that listen how long you've been in the mortgage industry, but 2 or 3 years in, I was in on a Saturday killing out some files. We had a successful agency, and I was looking at a HUD and I thought, yield spread premium. What is that? And why is it always paid outside of closing? And, at the time I was making, we were making somewhere $1,600-1,700 per title closing, and that was great. But we were handing a $6,000 check to the mortgage guy or the mortgage lady. And, I thought, I wonder what I have to do in order to get that check instead of the check I had. So a year later, we started our mortgage company in May 1st, 2002. And that's how I got into the business.
Yeah, so 22 years later, you have a great, viable mortgage company that's been through 2008 and 2022 and 23.
Yeah.
So,
uneasy time for sure.
So, what do you feel your 3 keys to success are in running a successful business?
Well, I think really 3 things. And I know these things are pretty simple, but I think that they're we could all find areas to apply them in our chosen profession. Number 1 is I always tell the truth. I have a little sign in the office that one of my partners gave me that says the truth is always or the truth isn't always popular, but it is always right. And and I think what that means translated into everyday business is, you can't sugarcoat the difficult stuff. Everybody can celebrate the successes, the great application months, the great closing months. If you're a realtor, the great listing months, the big closing, the big commission check. I think those things are great. But I think you're equally measured, if not more measured, about how you handle the adverse times. You had mentioned 2008, the Great Recession. I mean, goodness gracious, in 2008, we were in Michigan and Florida, arguably the two worst states that you could be in the entire country. Just this last time around, 2022, 2023, in the mortgage business, we had to make some very difficult decisions about staffing and about how we spent our money, and had to have some deeply unpopular conversations with some people. But the statistics and the milestones and the metrics were all on the side of being a bit more responsible, and making cuts that we didn't need. And so you can't pretend. So I think truthfulness, I always try and run to the difficult conversations, not away from them, to make sure I deal with them, in a truthful manner. And then I also think you got to have fun, and you got to enjoy the people that you work with. We all spend, if I had a magic wand, I'd spend more time with my kids and more time swinging a golf club, except spending time with my kids and swinging a golf club don't make me any money. Right. And I like to eat, and I like to have a roof over my head, and I like to have a car to drive that starts every time I try and start it. And so we spend more time at work than we might want if we had a magic wand. So I think you got to find a way to enjoy that time, work with great people. That's the thing I'm most proud of about our company. Yeah, we've had financial success. Yes, we've posted some great numbers along the way, but I get an opportunity to wake up every day and work with some really, really great people. And that's the thing that really keeps my juices running more than anything.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. I agree with you that culture is super important. I was always said culture was important. Even back in 2010, I was singing the culture song. You do run a company and have a company that I do believe every person at that company is nice. How and positive. Where do you think that positivity and niceness comes from across operation and sales? Success is probably one of the only companies that you don't have that, that pounding, fighting between operation and sales. What makes that culture be there?
Well, I think a couple of things. Number one, you got to recognize it and you got to work at it. We try and do some things, we have some contests, we do some fun things. If we do one thing for the sales team one month, we'll do the next thing for the operations team the next month. I think you have to celebrate the operations people. When you're in sales, you have the opportunity to do very, very well. And operations people get compensated differently. They think differently. So I think it's important to recognize that as salespeople, we have to use 5-10% of our considerable sales ability a lot of times to spread sunshine for the people around us, because they're the help. The running back in the football game doesn't get the ball across the finish line without a great offensive line. Same thing with salespeople and operations people. So I think you need to do that. And the other thing I think you need to do is, in our company, we call them emotional coins. You have to make deposits of emotional coins, and you have to do so in order, not during a time of crisis. You have to work at your important relationships. You have to show up, oftentimes in person. I spend a lot of time on an airplane in my job. It's not my favorite part of the job, but it's a very necessary part of the job. We're in 42 states. But I enjoy being with the people. And when you create those relationships, then when you have a crunch, you have a reservoir of goodwill upon which to draw, so that people know you care. You can't just pretend you care when the crisis hits. You got to care when there is no crisis, and build up those emotional coins.
Yeah, I love that. And the second thing you had said was run into the conversation, run to the conversation. One of the things that I believe success has done tremendously well is build knowledge and run to get that knowledge through, the coaches that we have. Why do you feel it's so important to have the coaching tools for your sales team?
Well, we all need help, right? You look at the greatest, people in any profession, right? Greatest tennis player maybe to ever walk the face of the earth, Novak Djokovic, had a
Right.
coach, has a coach. Roger Federer has a coach. Patrick Mahomes, pretty sure Andy Reid has a coach, is a coach, So I think you need positive people around you that can help you with those things. And it's something that you have to work on all the time. They also help us keep our eye on the ball. We're a very metric focused company. That's how we manage. That's how we manage how many people we need. That's how employees either succeed or struggle inside of our company is, we measure things. And you have to look at the things and embrace the things that are temporarily unpleasant in order to change them. So, I think coaches help you do both of those two things.
Right. So with regards to the metrics and with regards to the, I love metrics. I believe in data. I believe in, that's how I run the sales division that I run, is all through the credit pulls, the applications, the closed loans.
Yeah.
In the marketplace of mortgage that we're coming from and that we're going into, where do you feel the market is right now, and where do you feel it's going?
Well, I think we're in a state of recovery right now, right? Everybody knows about the awesome numbers that everybody posted in 2020 and 2021, and really into the first quarter of 2022. And it's clear to anybody who's paying attention that the Federal Reserve, when they were buying mortgage-backed securities, I like to say that they left the punch bowl at the cocktail party too long.
Right.
And so when you got to the second and third quarters of 2021, COVID was not really an economically depressive thing anymore. And so they should have stopped there. They didn't really stop till the end of the first quarter of 2022 in a meaningful way. So you had this giant swoon, and we all knew it was coming. I don't think any of us knew how deep and how long it would last. But that's just a function of them leaving the punch bowl, the cocktail party, too long. So I do think if you look at any of the major economists that follow the mortgage business, whether it's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the National Mortgage Bankers Association, all of those folks anticipate a mild to moderate turnaround in 2024. And as you and I are taping this, we're right up against the brink of the end of the first quarter. And the first quarter is projected to be the worst quarter of the year. And we are going to, be on the upswing. I think that upswing is going to be moderate, right? It's not going to be a huge, Nike swoosh and we're off to the moon. But I do think it's going to get better. And if it gets 10% better, 15% better, 20% better, I think it's going to feel 70% better.
Right.
So, but we got to work. We got to prospect. One of the things I admire most about you is I know you're a relentlessly hard worker and a relentless prospector. And when I look at the roster of our loan officers that do well, everyone works at prospecting. They all do it a little bit differently. They all have their jam, so to speak. But they all do it. And when I look at the ones that are struggling, they do what I call pretend prospecting, sitting on Facebook and liking posts. I don't think is prospecting. Or I used to have a sales coach named Daryl Turner who called it fixing to get ready. You know, they're always doing research. They're always creating a campaign or a drip campaign or a, you know, something like that. And my goodness, we all have one of these tattooed to our pocket. I'm holding up a phone for the people that are listening. Pick up a phone, call people, you know, and everybody who does that does well. And everybody who doesn't struggles.
Right.
So, you know, I think that you really need to keep working on that.
Yeah, I love that. And we have talking about all those bright and shiny tools. We have a lot of bright and shiny tools at Success. In the market, if you work within Success or work not within Success, what do you feel the mortgage people in our industry must do right now? What is something that they can't live without? I mean, obviously, we can't live without the phone and picking up the phone. I have it right in front of me myself. So, what's something that every mortgage person, what's a nugget that every person should have in their toolbox?
So I would do, if I could only do one thing, it would be a pretty easy choice for me. And that would be to embrace technology. And that could encompass many things, but the technology that's available to put us in front of our past clients that have a need and future clients that may have a need is great and getting greater. And I don't know if that's correct English, but that's really the way I feel about it. Those loan officers, you know, we joke inside of our office that Jeff Bezos, who runs Amazon, knows more about somebody because he sold them a 6-pack of toilet paper than we do.
Right.
And oh, by the way, we have their past 2 years of tax returns, right? It's ridiculous when we don't pay attention and stay in front of our customers. And so that technology could cover many things. At the very least, my goodness, use all aspects of your CRM. Send out milestone reports, not only to your borrower, but to both agents on the side of the transaction. That's your opportunity to, audition for a deal from the listing agent. Things like Sales Boomerang and Mortgage Coach bonded together. Their new platform is Trust Engine. If you look at what's coming down the pike of how they can track consumer behaviors and put you in front of the people when they may have a mortgage need, it's fantastic technology. And I would never say it's not expensive. It is expensive. But if we run our business properly, it is financially within reach. So, if we don't do that, right? I don't know if anybody who listens to this call is fishes at all, but the people that embrace technology are going to be fishing further upstream, and they're going to catch fish before they get downstream. And so those realtors that you have that used to maybe, if you had 10 good realtors that referred to you and, collectively they referred 10, potential borrowers to you, and maybe you closed 7 of them. Well, now they might only have 5 or 6 to refer. And it's not that they're not trying. It's that those people are being introduced to other mortgage people further upstream who have found out that they have a mortgage need. So in our office, I say all the time, hey, if you don't embrace technology, 3 years from now, you're going to be working 30% harder to make 25% less.
Totally.
Does anybody love that recipe?
Wider net.
Yeah, I don't think loan officers are going to become travel agents. I don't think we're going to be completely replaced. It's too big of a decision. People need a human being to speak with, unless you're a rocket scientist or something like that, mathematician, doctorate, whatever. But we've got to embrace technology.
I agree. Yeah. So, who do you admire, Owen?
Oh, that's a great question. You
should listen to the podcast and see what Meitner said.
Right. That's right. So, I do admire a lot of the people that I work with, especially the ones that are prospecting and doing the right things, because I know it's not easy to do. If I took a little bit of a wider view and put in a couple more categories, I admire people like Warren Buffett who have found a way to make money and just aggressively stuck to it. They pound the rock every day relentlessly, and they do it day after day after day. And when you do that, you turn around and, you really have the right to look back and see something special. And then if you cast a little bit of a wider net, I admire people who overcome obstacles. One thing that Sue and I have in common is, we both have a child who has an obstacle. And I have a son with type 1 diabetes, and he's got to live with it every single day. And I occasionally have to check his blood sugar or take him to the doctor, or whatever, but he's got to deal with that every single day, and he never gets a day off. And that's something that I admire, the relentlessness that it takes to overcome that challenge.
Yeah, that is true. I agree. I see that every day with Allison too. So because they live every day with it, and it's exhausting sometimes for them.
Yeah.
So it's exhausting. What other industry would you be in if you weren't in mortgage? Like, would you be a lawyer? Like, besides being a lawyer, like, which is what you have already?
If I had a magic wand and money was no object, I think I would be a high school teacher and coach lacrosse. That's probably what I would do. I've done a lot of that, a little bit of that, in the summers, and travel, and of course, up in Michigan, we love our hockey, and I've coached a lot of hockey and lacrosse, and just really enjoyed it. And if I had a magic wand and there were no obstacles, I might find a good place and settle in someplace.
Okay, that's awesome. What is in the future for Owen Lee?
Well, I tell you, I'll have my 54th birthday in about 5 weeks, and I love what I do. I'm very blessed. I get to work with some great people. I've been fortunate, financially, to have some good years, but I don't think I could retire. That's just not in me. I think the first 6 months, I'd probably card 125 rounds of golf and then start to get bored with that and realize the limitations that I have in getting good at that game. And I would need something to do. So I think I'm going to be doing this for a long time. I love the mortgage business. I love the people that I work with. And not to be corny, but I really appreciate the opportunity to be in this business. For those of us who are listening who are in the mortgage business, we create a product that helps people attain the American dream, is the number one creator of generational wealth and owning real estate. And it's not even close in relation to what's number two. And we create a financial instrument that lives, breathes, and creates revenue every day that it's alive. And therefore, because of that, we have a lot of economic opportunity in our industry, much more than most. And I think I have a deeper appreciation for that because I was in other industries, the practice of law, title insurance, that had good economic opportunity, but not as good as the mortgage business. So I think I'm going to be doing this. I think I have at least another 15, probably 20 years left in me. So I love what I do.
That's awesome. And I'm right there with you, Owen.
Right.
Because my birthday is only like 3 weeks after yours. And we are exactly the same age. So I appreciate you taking the time today to be on Grab Your Keys. You've given us so many nuggets and such a wealth of information. And everyone who's listening, definitely share and like it and just get it out there on social media. So we're super excited that you are with us. So everyone, go grab your keys.